Hello my friends and welcome back to the channel. Very excited for today's video because this video was requested by a whole bunch of people. We're going to be discussing today all the different training modes that are on the Speediance Gym Monster. The only thing that stays consistent is the grind. Keep on grinding. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Speediance Gym Monster, but if you aren't, I think you should get familiar with them. They've recently hit the market over the last couple of years and they are booming right now because the whole world is ordering them. I would highly recommend jumping on that train in case you want an amazing piece of digital home gym equipment with hardly a footprint. I've done some other videos talking about this machine as well as their other model, the Gym Pal. If you'd like, you could check those videos out. And if you are interested in one of these machines, you can click the link in the description that will take you to their page as well as give me an affiliate commission, which I can then use to support this channel to do more reviews and things like this for you. Keep in mind, every single one of my reviews is a completely honest 100%. Anyway, what we're going to be discussing today is the modes that are on this machine. So the first mode that I'd like to discuss is the standard mode. This standard mode is going to allow you to have a normal amount of eccentric and concentric force. That means essentially when you pick up the weight and when you put the weight down, you're going to have a normal amount of weight that you'll have to be moving. Your muscles will be moving a normal amount of weight. It's going to feel like what you'd expect weight to feel like when you lift something. The only difference is with this machine, because this machine uses motors to drive the quote-unquote weight, you will have that extra motor tension, which makes weight on this machine feel, even on standard mode, feel a lot heavier. So I would say probably about a good 10 pounds heavier than what a normal amount of weight would be. But if you're using this machine often, your body will simply calibrate to it, so it's not a problem. You just choose the weight that you feel comfortable with, the one that gives you the amount of reps and sets you need for your particular goal. So not an issue. But that's what standard mode is. Now, the very cool mode that we're going to get to now is chains mode. When you go ahead and click on chains mode, you're basically going to be simulating a chain on a barbell. So sometimes in gyms, people will put chains on barbells in order to change the strength curve or the weight curve, however you want to call it, of the weight that they're using. So in chains mode, let's imagine you have chains attached to a barbell. You're going to go ahead and drape those chains on that barbell. You're going to bring that weight, that barbell down from the top of a rack on a bench press, for example. As that chain gets closer to the floor on your eccentric portion of the movement, those chains are going to be now resting on the floor rather than hanging in the air. On the concentric, when you go ahead and push that back, the chains are going to be lifted up into the air and suspended in the air, which is going to cause the weight to become heavier at the top portion of the movement. And this machine simulates chains on a barbell very well. The weight will fluctuate differently based on the height of that bar. So on the concentric portion of the movement, the weight is going to be the heaviest. On the eccentric portion of the movement, the weight will get lighter. It's almost the exact opposite of what eccentric mode is, which is the next mode we're going to get into now. Eccentric mode is going to give you more weight on the eccentric portion of the movement. Make sure you guys stay tuned because we're going to be discussing why you're going to want to use each of these types of modes for different goals in the next video. Studies have shown, I'm not here to debate or argue, but many studies have shown that the eccentric portion of the movement that you use has the ability to grow strength and muscle mass better than focusing on the concentric. Now, one of the reasons why this might be, remember I'm not a doctor or scientist, but one of the reasons why this might be is because you are more powerful on the eccentric portion of the movement. So let's pretend we're doing a barbell bench press. We're starting off at the top of the movement. We're going to bring that down. If you have 50 pounds, for example, on this machine, you're going to start off at the top of the movement and you're going to bring that down. Now that's the eccentric portion of the movement. Your muscles are literally stronger because of how we're constructed, literally stronger at that top portion of the movement. You're going to bring that down. That's going to have the most weight on it. You can change the amount of eccentric that you want on this machine, but in the example that I used over here, we have 50 pounds with a 25 pound on the eccentric. So essentially 75 pounds at the top of the movement when you're coming down on the eccentric portion, and then when you push back on the concentric, you're only pushing 50. Your muscles are going to respond to that better than if you had more weight on the opposite end of that movement, because your muscles on the concentric are not as strong. So what eccentric is doing is it's allowing you to utilize your muscles' potential, essentially. You can lift higher amounts of physical weight using this digital weight system. You're lifting more weight on the portion of the movement that you can actually lift it. So all the benefits come along with that. You're getting stronger on a certain portion of your muscles spectrum. You are building more muscle because you can lift more weight and all that good stuff. It also has the ability to prevent injuries. Many people will get injured on the concentric portion of the movement because they're weaker on that portion. But on the eccentric, you are stronger. So essentially, you can lift heavy without the danger of getting hurt. I hope all that makes sense. Keep in mind on the chains and eccentric, you can change the amount of the load by clicking on the little button that shows the eccentric portion, okay? Now, it's at this point in the video where you guys might see that I have my Mueller Sports Medicine gel compression sleeve on. And the reason why is because as I was training, I actually ended up getting some tennis elbow flare-up. It actually reminded me of my buddy Ryan, who you've seen on the channel a couple of times, where he's mentioned that he actually has a fully inflamed tennis elbow that he's been fighting. I thought of him when I put this on. If it wasn't for this sleeve, I would not have been able to finish the video that I was literally making for you guys when my tennis elbow started flaring up. In case you guys are dealing with something similar, in case you guys work construction, in case you guys have flare-ups with your knees or any limb that you might have, you can go ahead and put one of these Mueller Sports compression sleeves on your joint or your limb, and you can either heat or cool that limb, which is phenomenal. You just throw it in the freezer or you throw it in the microwave. Either way, it's going to do what it needs to do. For my case, I needed this to cool down my joint because it was inflamed, and after I put this on for about an hour, the pain was completely and utterly gone. So I got ahead of that pain before it became way inflamed, and it allowed me to train through that pain, which I don't actually recommend for you guys to do. I had to do it for this video. So in case you're interested in any of the Mueller products or this particular product, you can go check it out on the Mueller Sports Medicine website. Now we can go ahead to the fixed speed mode. The fixed speed mode is a very interesting mode. I've only used it a couple of times, but let me tell you, you better make sure you have energy if you're going to be using that. This mode is so cool. I don't anticipate that many people will typically be using this often, but let me tell you why I think you probably should. The fixed speed mode is going to allow you, based on the amount of weight that you set it at, it's going to allow you to be able to get a certain amount of weight based on the amount of power you're putting in. So on this dial on the screen, you have slow, which means that this is going to force you to go slow when you put that energy in. It's going to give you a higher amount of weight based on the amount of energy you're putting in. Now, if you move to fast, this is going to allow you to be moving faster. So for example, you might put in a ton of weight, but you're going to be able to move that weight around. And as you move, the faster you move, you're going to be getting more weight the faster you go. It's very interesting and hard for me to explain. But essentially, if you have this dial here on slow, you're going to be able to put all your energy into that movement. The harder, the more energy you put in, let's say you're pulling, the more energy you put in on that concentric force, on the concentric side, the more weight you're going to get. So you get tired so easy. Imagine trying to push a brick wall, okay? You really go at that brick wall. You want to move that wall. You're going to be putting so much energy into that movement that you're going to get tired very fast. And that wall is not planning on moving. This will allow you to get weight or move, essentially, but it's giving it to you based on the amount you can push. When you throw that energy into this movement, you're going to get tired real quick, especially if it's on slow. Now, if you go ahead and put it on fast, it's going to allow you to have a much more ability to move quickly, which is why it says fast. But you're still getting weight based upon the amount of energy you're putting in. Now, this reminds me of a rowing type of movement. Now, Speediance does have rowing on this if you have the rowing attachment, which I've actually been asked to review, but unfortunately I don't own it. I would love to give you guys a review of that, but I don't own that attachment. But I can tell you that using the fixed speed mode gives me the idea that the rowing would be phenomenal, because this reminded me of using a rowing machine. You can change the settings on a rowing machine to make it harder to pull or easier to pull. And remember, I said this is only on the concentric portion of the movement, not on the eccentric portion. So the beginning of your movement on this, you're going to feel the weight, regardless of whether it's on slow or fast. You're going to feel that weight when you put that power and that energy into this. But coming back, you won't feel anything, which essentially is what rowing is. I found this mode to take so much energy out of me. That's it for this video. I hope you found value in it. And remember, if you do need any type of recovery equipment for your training or your everyday life, you can go ahead and check out Mueller Sports Medicine's webpage. They have a lot of really great stuff. Family owned since 1959, and they're doing their best to give you their best every single day with the products they have. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all at the next video.